Talk about Melanie Sykes because she's on the front page of so many newspapers this morning, talking about Tourette's syndrome. It's important, though, to talk about the fact that she hasn't been formally diagnosed. She clarified late yesterday that instead she identifies as having a neurological condition, but she isn't alone. There's been a rise in young people, in particular, self-diagnosing themselves with conditions like Tourette's, autism and ADHD. B, do you think this is harmful or harmful, people self-diagnosing?
I think it's a bit of both, but I think young people have to be careful about what they read online, social media, and just in general. I had a friend who had, they've got their child, and they spoke to me about their child was being cyberbullied. And because their mood swings, and this was in the lockdown period when I think everybody's mental health was being affected in one way or another, and not really in a positive way. But as we've seen, young people and children were really super affected, and her child was affected because she had people attacking her, and because her mood swings were up, next minute was down, and she went online and she was researching things. And the trouble is, you can research things, and if your mind is already in a place where you think there is something wrong with you, then you're going to things are going to stick out even more to you when you're reading it. And she self-diagnosed, and the friend was worried that she would then start self-medicating.
So self-diagnosed herself with bipolar?
And then she wanted antidepressants, she wanted mood enhancers, and my advice was literally to seek professional advice, but at that time, she couldn't get to see the GP, so that was an extra added stress.
Yeah, it can be, because you could misdiagnose yourself as well.
Yeah. Exactly.
You could be seeking out treatment that's not suitable for your particular condition. And those who have a syndrome, like Lewis Capaldi, for example, who has Tourette's, he's talked very openly about the difficulties that he's had in trying to control that condition. I know that he said that he's taken some time out because the pressure's become quite a lot for him. I think we always have to be wary that those who do have conditions that are diagnosed could feel as though they're being devalued by others saying, well, I've self-diagnosed myself as having something. But there are also ways in which looking online to diagnose things can actually prove to be a lifesaver, right?
Yeah, I think from a parental perspective, like for me with my child, you know, Regan is now diagnosed with ADHD and dyslexia, but at the time, there was no pathway for him. And even to get on the pathway, I had to be informed as a parent, otherwise you wouldn't get taken seriously. So I did do a lot of research, because as a mum, I kind of saw that there were symptoms and things that I thought could be awry, and I wasn't quite sure of what they were myself. So doing the research empowered me so that I had the language and information to then be able to go to those in power and say, look, these are the things that I've seen, this is the research that I've done. I really do think he needs to be put on this pathway, or at least be, you know, assessed to see whether I am right, because I'm not perfect, I don't know. But it really did help me as a parent, because I saw other parents that were going through the same thing as me with similar symptoms as Regan, and I could go, OK, actually, yeah, maybe I am right. And also, instead of doubting yourself, there are other people that are going through the same thing as you. You don't feel isolated in that way. But it also gave me a voice to then get him formally diagnosed.
Yeah, I think it's good to go informed to a professional.
Yeah.
So you can go and go, look, I've read up on this, I think I might have it, can you help me? But I definitely think you should always, whatever you think you've got, I think you should definitely be diagnosed by a professional.
Yeah.
And also you do have to be careful with, you know, Dr. Google and things, because, you know, you go, oh, I've broke my nail, and you've got nail cancer by the end of it, you know. If you keep on reading, it's like, and if none of this suits, go to your doctor, because your hand's going to fall off.
Yeah.
But then but there are ways in which it can empower people and let people have more of an understanding. And, you know, especially with ADHD within girls, for example, it can be so difficult to diagnose, and with waiting lists to get that official diagnosis. In some areas, we're looking at 3-4 years for that.
Exactly.
Sometimes it can empower you to understand, you know, who you are and how you can try and oh, I don't know, deal day to day
Yeah.
with a condition that you think you may well have.
Yeah.
Because if you haven't got the money to pay for private diagnosis, it's really hard to wait for that and to get the official help that you can from the government. And so in that way, it sort of opened a door to so many people who perhaps thought, I am the only one. They go onto TikTok or Instagram or what have you, or Snapchat, and realise, oh no, there are more people like me. It's not just me, and it can possibly help you feel less isolated, I think.
100%. And also, once you've got your official diagnosis, you've then got access to lots of different things. So there are definite pros with getting an official diagnosis, because if you've got ADHD or dyslexia, you've then got 15 minutes of extra time with exams. You can get templates over their work, so they get extra time, and ways of reading that actually makes it more easier for them to be able to take in their work. So absolutely, I would say go down that route. But for me, it helped having my own information.
Yeah, absolutely. And, the pain that so many parents have to go through waiting for that official diagnosis, it is not.
No,
it's not a nice place to be at all.
No, thinking of your parents, thinking of you.
Indeed.